Moral of the story, nobody wants to hear from you.
Yeah. Unless you're hilarious, in which case,
if you're a professional,
get the feedback from the audience. Feedback Friday continues. You got a lot of Viking stuff here to get to, too. So let's start with this one. Andy Bader, Score North app, says Chris Sims went on record last year and put Kellen Mond as his 4th-ranked quarterback prospect before the 2021 draft. Where do you think Mond would rank for the 2022 draft? And why aren't we talking about him as a potential QB1 anymore? These are great questions.
It's 2 great questions. To work backwards, I think, number 1, we are not talking about him as a QB1 because unbeknownst to Mond, when he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Vikings, he was put into quarterback witness protection, which is not his fault. But when you basically, what's the word, ostracize, forget about, don't develop, take your pick, it makes it hard to stay on the map. And so I think unfairly we have either forgotten about Mond or just assumed now, he must not be good. I mean, remember those couple snaps against the Packers, he wasn't good. So that must be Kellen Mond. I think it's very unfair. I think that it's upon O'Connell and his coaching staff now to find out what Mond has. But I think a lot of those Spielman 2021 picks unfairly were not developed. Yeah. And it was as if they were caught in the divorce between Zim and Rick, right? And so they're the forgotten children of 21. And so Mond, in my opinion, we have no clue. He might not even be good. I don't know, but we can't pass judgment. And so, I think that's a great point. And I think that Mond, if he was put into this draft, knowing what we knew about him coming out last year, I mean, I think he'd be in the top 3, right?
Yeah, it's hard to answer that second question. I would lean on our guy Tyler Fornes from NBC Sports Edge for that answer, or somebody else who can properly rank these guys. But yeah, I mean, this draft class, he's probably top 3 or probably top 3 or top 4. I don't know that he'd be above Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, but he'd be in there somewhere.
Tyler seems to continually say Kenny Pickett is a fraud.
Yeah. Well.
So like he might be above Pickett.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. With some people. I mean, some people had Mond, 6th or 7th on their board last year. Chris Sims was the highest on him.
Yeah.
But I echo all the same points that you just made. How are we supposed to know? You got guys like Doug Peterson who are, writing essays on quarterback websites talking about the importance of building a championship quarterback room and collaborating and, just constantly putting talent in that room and pushing each other. And I feel like Mike Zimmer was the opposite, right? If I can just blow past this meeting room and not peek my head in ever, and if I have to meet with Kirk for 45 minutes, but no way am I going to meet with the other guys. And then constantly bringing Sean Mannion back as the main backup quarterback for 3 seasons? Like, I'm sorry, I don't want this to be a dump on Sean Mannion fest, but if you're really trying to put together the best possible talent at that position across the board, is Sean Mannion your QB2 for multiple years? What are you doing? So some of this might be on Mond. I think a lot of it's on a coaching staff and a structure that just made no sense for him.
I think Mond tried, and I think he got ignored.
Yeah, and I
just think he got ignored.
I'm not going to pretend to know the inner working relationship between Kirk Cousins and Kellen Mond, but is Kirk really putting his arm around Mond, or is he's probably being nice to him at practice and stuff? But are they really sitting down? I don't know. Jake Ward via the Score North app says, quick question. I feel like it's an obvious one, but you guys haven't really touched on it. If we want a bridge quarterback in order to shed cap, if you trade Kirk, and build a roster up, and then eventually draft the quarterback of the future, then why not just use Kellen Mond as the bridge quarterback in 2022? If we aren't playing for a Super Bowl anyways, then why wouldn't we look to see what he can do and also save a lot of cap? Wouldn't cost us any draft picks, money, etc. What are your thoughts? I'll even add to this. If it train wrecks, now you get to pick higher. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of a train wreck based on what we have seen so far. But what do you guys think?
I'm honestly all in on this idea. I think it's trending, obviously, that they are going to keep Kirk, but let's explore the path that they moved on from him. Let's say it is indeed them building up the value like we kind of think it is, and he is traded. Kevin O'Connell is this apparent quarterback whisperer, and he might, he could bring in a Tyrod Taylor, right? He could bring in a Marcus Mariota. But if Kellen Mond is really the bridge quarterback here, and he can maybe develop him into something, I'm really curious on that. He's going to be making chump change, and if you're bad, you only win 4 or 5 games, you're most likely picking in the top 5 of the draft. I'm all about this idea. I wouldn't be upset about it at all.
Yeah, I'm not looking. I know that it's probably best for the long-term health of the franchise if they did take a major step back, as long as they didn't fall into like a Jets or a Lions stretch of futility. I'm just not really interested in tanking in 2022. I don't think you have to. I don't want to piss off Justin Jefferson. So I'm not. If they trade Cousins, I'm not just going to put a quarterback out there that's defenseless and has no idea what he's doing. Now, if Mond proves to be capable in off-season workouts and looks like, okay, under the tutelage of Kevin O'Connell and this staff, there's something there. But I would for sure want an actual veteran bridge quarterback. Give me Marcus Mariota. Give me Teddy Bridgewater for a minute. Like somebody that I know can at least be a professional quarterback and win a few games here and there. That's kind of where I'm at with this.
I think O'Connell, it's going to be up to this staff to parse through a lot of players and decide if those guys can play and have a future here or not. I really do. I mean, if you think about this, so Mike told, I believe it was in training camp, he told Joe Schmidt that I think he had about 26 players he trusted. And then he proved it by taking player 27 through 53 and for the most part, damn well not developing them. And so I think with this team, while we don't necessarily think in these terms yet, I really believe what we're going to find out is there was a lot of this team and roster, and especially young players, that we didn't know jack about. Mm-hmm. Because they basically were sort of left there to, hey, you take care of yourself. We're trying to win football games with our top 26. This comes back to why I'm so excited. I think that the amount of discovery that's going to be done and the amount of players that we are going to, both good and bad, find out about is astronomical compared to what we think.
Yeah. El Poppy chimes in here via the Score North app. I would like to know why you're so intrigued and love Malik Willis. He plays in a very weak Conference USA where the level of competition is nowhere near that of a Power 5. I would also like to know the last time a non-Power 5 conference quarterback won a Super Bowl. Joe Flacco comes to mind. I don't like the idea of Willis. That's my personal opinion. Well, some of it is just watch the guy play, whether it's the MAC or somewhere else. I mean, his arm, his ability to keep plays alive, just everything. If you get a chance, literally go watch some of the YouTube footage that's out there of what he looks like at his best. There's definitely some things to mold. Tyler Fornes is going to go into this on an episode of Purple Daily we're posting this weekend. But I would also say, I mean, first of all, Ben Roethlisberger, multi-time Super Bowl champion, right? He's a MAC quarterback. The Eagles wound up finishing their Super Bowl run with Nick Foles, but they won the bulk of their game to set them up for home field advantage with Carson Wentz, who was an NDSU quarterback. So Josh Allen, again, he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but he played at Wyoming. I just feel like in recent years, there's a lot of quarterback talent that's bubbling up in non-Power 5. Like, yes, are Power 5 schools going to produce the most quarterbacks, the Joe Burrows? Yes. But I wouldn't rule Malik Willis out just because he didn't play in a Power 5 conference school.
Here's the nice thing. We believe that the Vikings now have a GM and probably just as importantly or more so a coach who can identify the right guy. So if they say this quarterback class sucks, I'm going to say, okay, cool, next year. But the problem is, and what I think probably one of the biggest reasons Rick Spielman is gone is because he couldn't do it. So like this is not well, you guys think this and so they should or shouldn't draft him. No, this is if you don't think that this new administration can ID a quarterback, we got problems. So until they prove they can't, I'm going to assume that they were brought in largely because they can. And so if they say we are going to pass on every quarterback in 22, we just don't like them, I'm going to say, I trust that. You're right. We'll wait. But
yeah, they deserve
this
trust
is
for
the
now.
step. Right. But this is the step.
Before we get back to some of the Vikings feedback here, next weekend, the 2022 Choice Bank Minnesota Golf Show is back. If you're looking for that golf fix, you're sick of the snow, the crappy weather, the golf show can be a nice little reprieve at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Friday, February 18th through Sunday, February 20th. We're going to do a couple special Mackey and Judd podcast episodes from out there in the afternoons on the Friday and Saturday. Tickets on sale for just $12. You can find all the details at minnesotagolfshow.com, presented by Choice Bank, your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers, Nelson Marine, Second Swing, and X Golf.
Live shows?
Well, live to the audience that's
Yeah,
there.
but I'm saying we rarely play live now.
It's true. Well, I mean, Ventline.
Like this is
You mean
gonna
like
be,
in
no, I'm saying in
show.
person. I'm saying you
Oh, I
can come
gotcha.
watch us. I'm saying we're going to be playing a gig.
Yes,
Like
that's true.
we're going to be. This is exciting
We
stuff.
got to figure out what we're going to do, by the way. We have no idea what we're going to do.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Play the hits.
Okay. We'll just so we're
Button
just going
ship
to
with Judd.
just going to rip Kirk Cousins for an hour.
Yeah.
We got to play the hits. We got to play our Dex on bass. Phil.
I'm more of a drums guy, but that's okay.
Okay, then
I feel
take the
like I'm more of a
drums.
Can I take the drums? Is that
I
okay
mean, I
with
played
everyone?
trumpet
I'll
in
take
high
the
school.
bass.
I am a Louis Armstrong Award winner on the trumpet in high school, so maybe I'll
That's
maybe
really
I'll dust
impressive.
that off. I know.
That's actually very impressive, Phil.
Pretty talented trumpet player here.
Still
Mitch, you lose the chops after a while. It's tough. It's tough to hit the high
Never played the
notes.
trumpet.
It's a great instrument. Mitch Helseth via the Score North app says, what do you guys think of the Patrick Peterson interview? So on his podcast, he recently came out and said he was invited to a meeting with all the captains and players about what they would want in a future head coach, and said he was taken aback by it in a good way. Since he wasn't really a captain and was an older player, plus he's not even under contract, he didn't expect to be invited to that kind of meeting, but he's very humbled by the respect the Vikings are giving him to have input.
I watched
I
that.
love that.
I watched that. Yeah. Very smart. I like that. I feel like the Wolves. So here's what bugs me a little bit, though. I feel like the Wolves, when they were doing that, were playing catch up for ignoring the product. I don't know what took place, if it's the soccer team now as well being in the fold or something, but the whole thing and how it played out at the end with Rick and Mike especially felt like the Wolves were like, oh, this is really bad. We didn't know that. I don't like that. So I like the fact that they took steps to sort of take the temperature of the players and the room. But I have a weird feeling that their involvement, which I think once was pretty involved, waned. And it bothers me that they seemingly didn't know that Rick and Mike quit communicating. So
Yeah.
I like how they played catch up. I don't like the fact they had to play catch up.
And now we're seeing that collaboration that people kind of make fun of that as a buzzword, but I like this. Get the opinion of people that are going to wind up playing for this coach. It doesn't mean that you have to take a poll and then hire all the people. Like, you get to make the decision ultimately if you're Kwesi, but gathering input, I think it helps loosen up that culture of fear, I guess, that players were
Peterson
talking
is
about.
super sharp too. I really like him.
Yeah. I'd
Yep.
take him back if might have to play for a little bit less money, but Jason Powell of ProWrestling.net,
Hell yeah.
which I am a loyal consumer of ProWrestling.net. Via Twitter, he says, why do we hear about so many young offensive minds in the pros or college, but rarely hear about great young defensive minds until they show something as defensive coordinators? It's a good question. I think, in part, people pay more attention to offense, and also, in today's NFL, offense and passing games are the drivers of success. Not that defense is unimportant, but if you can work with a quarterback and you can craft an innovative offense and you can put up points, I think teams are always going to gravitate more often to those guys. And defense is so hard. It's like, offensively, if you find a great quarterback and you're pretty good at scheming, you can kind of ride that out for a few years. But defensively, it's so hard to keep a great defense together long enough to get recognized, because all the players have to be healthy. All the players have to be peaking and in their prime at the same time and under the salary cap and all those things. So I think it's just harder. Like, D'Amico Ryans is popping up as a guy. San Francisco's produced a couple of guys in recent years, Robert Saleh. But, yeah, it's just a harder path in today's NFL to get noticed and to be on the top of your game as a defensive guy.
I also don't think that we see as many. It's not impossible, but I don't think we see nearly as many innovative first step defensive guys where offensively the mad scientists now are at work almost constantly. Like I go back in my time following football, Buddy Ryan's 46 defense with the 85 Super Bowl champion Bears, I think was seen as an, oh my God, this is new. Tampa 2, to a certain point, certainly was. But it just seems now, Phil, like it's more continually, this is what we're going to do offensively, stealing this from like college, this from the pros. Defensively, it seems like now there's adjustments just made back. Well, like when's the last time, and it might be Zim's A-gap blitz or looks, but when's the last time that you heard that the actual innovation was the defense?
You got to crack this defense, right?
Yeah.
The 4-6 defense in the 80s, or you got to
correct.
You got to
when's
find
the
a
last
way.
time?
Yeah, I don't think
Zim's A-gap thing was a big deal, but ordinarily it's I'm adjusting to make up for what you're doing because you came up with a good offensive idea.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the great defenses that we talk more about the player, like the hybrid, the Micah Parsons or the Aaron Donald. It's less about how do you get past this scheme and more about how do you keep this player in check. Aaron Karasov via Twitter says, never change Mackey and Judd. Minnesotans have been led to believe that average is okay. Making the playoffs is enough. Demand more, strive for greatness. Don't change. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen, Aaron.
Yes, we won't.
Dustin Swenson. There's a couple questions in the same category here, but first he has something for Declan via the Score North app. Declan, how great is it being the executive producer of these shows? I mostly watch on YouTube from my phone as I go about my day. Honestly, as I'm dealing with some physical therapy and recovery this year, I've been pretty down on things, but this show is something that cheers me up, so please keep up the great work. Thank you, Dustin.
Yeah. I love being the executive producer. It's fun. It's even when we're starting the show here, and I got 3 different mouses, and I'm hitting the wrong intro button right off the top. It's still works. It's still everything plays out. It's great. I love producing this show. It's the best.
And then he asks all of us, I think we should trade for Kyler Murray. Your thoughts? And then the Legend Keeler, which is a great YouTube handle, the Legend Keeler. What do you guys think about trading for Kyler Murray? I think it would bring at least 2, if not more wins per season than Kirk does. So this is coming, this Kyler Murray stuff. He deleted all of his Cardinals references from his Instagram page. Oh, would you make the call if you're Kwesi and see what's going on?
Do we know why yet? Has this come out yet about Kyler?
Doesn't he want a new contract? He's up for a contract here at some point.
Probably, yeah. I would make the call. I don't know that he would be my first choice, but yeah, I would definitely make the call. I mean, he's got some abilities that definitely intrigue me. Now the price tag obviously might be a sticking point, but would I pick up the phone if I was Kwesi? Yes, I would.
I think you gotta pick up. There's zero chance the Cardinals trade Kyler Murray, but do your due diligence.
I love scrubbing your account though. That is a great move.
It's the new move, right? Stephon Diggs did it.
It just creates doubt.
Yeah. Stephon Diggs. That's what I love about this time of year too, is players start to scrub their Instagrams, teams come out and say things like Josh Rosen is our guy.
Yes.
We have no intention of trading Stephon Diggs.
Yes.
We love Kirk Cousins.
Percy Harvin is going nowhere.
Yeah.
Except Seattle.
Till he does in a week. It'd be great. Drew Voigt via the Score North app. I'm very much on team move on from Kirk, but I also wonder how a bridge quarterback would affect Justin Jefferson. JJ is not nearly the diva as other wide receivers, but I also get the sense he likes putting up big stats and chasing yardage records. For all his faults, Kirk can deliver a clean ball that someone like Mariota, Carr, Teddy can't achieve. I worry that errant throws from a bridge quarterback might make JJ a little surly, pun intended, and influence his plans on signing an extension. What are your thoughts? First of all, you should never make decisions based on, well, let's just make sure JJ gets his stats. Like, make decisions for wins, first and foremost. But I think Derek Carr, I don't think is an option for the Vikings, but there's plenty of quarterbacks in the Kirk bin or even lower that still get guys well over 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
All right? I mean, Case Keenum was connecting with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen on a regular basis for a ton of yards. So Kirk's not the only one that can get Justin Jefferson to 12 or 1,400 yards.
Justin Jefferson wants to win football games. He wants to win a Super Bowl. his college quarterback and probably best friend, Jamar Chase, are 1 win away from doing that. This notion that, well, if Kirk leaves, then your problem is Justin's not going to get the football. If that's why you're going to keep Kirk, then you're keeping Kirk for the wrong reasons. And Justin Jefferson, I'm going to tell you, the quote that we played, I believe, from his CBS Sports radio appearance was great, because if you go back and listen, that is the most lukewarm, Minnesota nice answer of all time. That's a guy who wants a real QB. Now, he might not have that guy in 22, but you got to find him eventually.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if you continue to go down this path of, well, Kirk gets him the ball, but the Vikings don't win, I got bad news for you. He's not going to be any happier with Kirk than he would be taking a shot with the next quarterback.
Also, 2 years ago, when Kevin O'Connell was very much still with the Rams, I think, right? Or am I wrong on that? 2019. When did Kevin O'Connell join the Rams?
I thought he joined him around that time, right?
Just want to make sure I'm right on this here. Well, it doesn't matter because it's the same. It's the same offensive principles. But my point was going to be 2 years ago, the Rams saw 2 wide receivers, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, both of them go for 90 catches and 1,100 yards with Jared Goff as the starting quarterback. So
yeah,
there was another level to unlock with Cooper Kupp that we saw this year. But those guys still got ridiculous numbers with Jared Goff as the starting quarterback.
OC in Washington, by the way, in 19, and then he went to the Rams in 20.
Yeah, but Sean McVay principles, it's all part of the same tree.
Yep.
And then let's see here. Let's do one more here. Mike Thole via the Score North app. Interesting that the Vikings have reportedly hired a new defensive coordinator now. KOC is still preparing for the Super Bowl and multitasking on hiring his assistants. It always bugged me the lack of attention the impact of the distraction factor gets. Pat Shurmur's hiring by the Giants was ahead of the 2017 NFC Championship game. What role might that have played? I can't help but think that he might have had his mind elsewhere. Tony Dungy was on Dan Patrick recently and talked about the lack of fairness in hiring early when some coaches are still preparing their current teams for a championship game. So, in summary, do you guys feel like it would be a better practice and level the playing field more if these interviews were all held after the Super Bowl? So these franchises would have to just sit there for a month with nobody.
I don't know. I totally get the point. And I like it,
though, because the free agency starts in March.
Exactly. I don't know that there is a good solution, and the problem is this now. The season keeps backing up, right?
Yeah.
Like we add playoffs, and I guarantee that they're going to try to add at some point in time here an 18th game, right? So now we're going to back it up even more and back it up more. I don't know what the fairest solution is. This is definitely what we do now is not great. But Phil, you're right. Like, are you going to tell teams, hey, a week before the combine, it's on for head coaches? So I don't know.
Yeah, it's so hard. And like I said, free agency, which is the league year starts in a month from like this Wednesday.
Right.
And so you're gonna start the interview and I'm not ripping you. I'm just saying, like, to Tony Dungy and whoever else wants to drastically change this. You can't start the hiring process in mid-February and expect teams to be prepared to mold their rosters in mid-March. You'd have to change the entire calendar. And maybe that's the answer. Maybe you push the draft back to June, but now those players are shortened summer to, like, the draft has to be in April and May. So.
The NFL moves on. It churns and burns, and it really doesn't care that much. So
get over it.
The problem will continue, and we are going to get an 18th game.
When do you think that happens?
Within 5 years.
Okay.
17's a really bad,
and I hope the 18th game is on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night.
You don't need 17, and I don't want 18. The expanded playoff thing, I also hate, but I've talked about that.
Well, you don't need that fourth Surly or that extra helping of Eggs Benedict at brunch, but you know what? Sometimes.
No.
You just got to get your freak on.
I do not have the extra egg Benedict. Don't forget. The Olivia lifestyle has led me away from that.
I'm just talking about myself then.
You're right about Surly.
That's Feedback Friday here on Mackey and Judd. We will be bringing back the movie review franchise sometime soon here. So I know people have asked about that. I got a couple ideas for you guys too. How about animal movies? Animal movies?
Like what?
Like Homeward Bound.
No,
You know, like-
I'm not
no.
watching anything that makes me cry. Dogs dying will make me cry.
Okay. Well, let's.
I can
negotiate
take
this.
people dying. I
I
can't
think
take
action
dogs
movie
dying.
rewind and rom-com rewind is our bin, and with the occasional.
I gotta go with that,
You know,
yeah.
Just think about animal
sports
movies.
and
But why? I don't want to. No, I don't
throwing
want to
out there.
cry. I don't want to spend my Tuesday or Wednesday bawling. No, I don't want to do that.
All right, maybe I'll.
Again, I can take human death. Dog death, I can't do.
All right, we gotta go. We gotta go.
Yeah.
That's Feedback Friday at Mackey and Judd. See you guys.